Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's October 2nd. These are your headlines. Seeing a lot of big striped bass moving south of Boston right now. Also seeing the Albie bite in Nantucket Sound kind of coming into its own. And more big weakfish this week in Rhode Island. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we got a couple of news items for you guys. First thing, I just want to remind everyone that you will need to get your public comments in for the Addendum 3 to the Striped Bass Management Plan by Friday night, so that's tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. If you don't know what these are for, there's been meetings all over the East Coast, so maybe you missed one or maybe you missed them, but basically these public comments are to inform the ASMFC about how the public wants them to proceed with managing and regulating the striped bass fishery. So there are proposed closures, both target closures and harvest closures. There is the possibility of status quo, so we leave everything the same as it is right now. So those are the three options with that. We also have how the regulations for commercial fishermen may or may not change, and we have sort of a standardization of how striped bass are measured. So these are all important things that need to be, they need a diverse slate of comments. So make sure you get those in. You can submit them through email at comments@asmfc.org, or you can go to asmfc.org and submit your comments through the comment form that can be found on the page. But in either case, you got a little less than 2 days to get this stuff done. So make sure you get online and let your fingers do the walking and get those comments heard. Next thing, let's check in with our tournaments. Here's what's going on in the Dreamboat Challenge and the Coastal Kayak Clash.
We're down to 8 weeks left in the Fisherman Dreamboat Contest, and here are the entries for the week ending in October 1st. First up is New England subscriber Norman Bouchard of Marston Mills, Massachusetts, with the first place bluefish on the board coming in at 16.1 pounds, weighed in at Dick's Bait and Tackle. Next up is Ahmed Solomon, a Long Island subscriber from Brooklyn, New York, who takes first place in the porgy category with his porgy weighing in at 4.6 pounds, weighed in at Bernie's Bait and Tackle. The last entry comes from Long Island subscriber Vince Zorkis from Long Beach, New York, taking ninth with the 8.55 pound fluke weighed in at Bay Park Fishing Station. The leaderboard stands at Thomas Luciano with 20 points, Rashawn Williams at 16 points, Jeffrey Harrison at 12 points. We'll see you next week. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize. So however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
Pretty strong week in the Coastal Kayak Clash. We had 4 entries. 2 of them were weakfish, 2 of them were hardtails. The first one was a 24.5-inch weakfish entered by Mike Triptree, which was good enough for second place in the weakfish category. Next one was a 24.75-inch weakfish caught by Frank Cece. That is good enough for first place in the weakfish category. Going to the hardtails, we had a beautiful 26-incher landed by Tom Hood, which is now in third place for the hardtail category. And Bob Wagner took the top spot now with his 28-incher. The top 3 now looks like this. We have Dustin Stevens still hanging on to his lead, but shaved down to 7 points. Then we have Rothenong in second place with 6 points, and Bob Wagner swoops in to take the third place spot with 5 total points.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com.
Now let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
We got a drum roll for the winner's circle part 4. Hey guys, welcome to this week's Open Boat. I'm your host, Jenni Ackerman, and you already know what we're talking about today. It is mid-October, but we are still reveling in how good the 2025 fluke season was by sharing the Super Flukers Challenge winner's circle of the biggest fluke submissions. So let's get into it. I'm so excited to see what size fluke you guys caught and, you know, just revel in big fish, doormats, wiping our feet on doormats. So let's get into it. Starting off with Dennis Lott. He sent me this nice one here, and he says that this fish was caught on the Ocean City Reef, and it weighed 5.25 pounds and was 24.5 inches long. So that's Dennis's first one, but wait, there's more. Dennis sent us in more flukes. Here we have Dennis again, who said caught these two behind Brigantine in June. One was 23 inches and the other one was 22.5. So congratulations, Dennis. Those are all of those were excellent flukes. And take notice, we were talking about patterns of where these fish were caught. He said they were caught in the back. So, you know, back bay fluking, you know, don't diss it. Go give it a shot. Here we have Ken Wong with a nice fluke that he caught this past 2025 season. And then we have Tom and his father out here slaying the flukes. They have two very nice fluke here, and Tom says we got a stiff competition. So we gotta look at the pictures back to back, because Tom says that it's his father and him, and one of the flukes was 25 inches and the other one was 25.5, both caught in the Manasquan River. So looking at the picture, father and son competition, who do you think caught the 25 and who do you think caught the 25.5? So it's like, who gets the bragging rights? But I think whoever gets the bragging rights is whoever, you know, paid for gas and filleted those fluke for you. But both of those are excellent, excellent fish right there. So congratulations, Tom and Dad. Moving on, we have Tom Smith with a nice fluke here, and he says that this is his nephew. So Tom Smith sent in a photo of his nephew. He caught this fluke on a charter out of Keyport, and they caught it in Raritan Bay. And I believe he said that this was 30.5 inches, this fluke. So that's a big fluke right there. Moving on to more big fluke, we have Adam Geis with a weigh-in picture here with this fluke. I believe that's an 11-pounder. Yes, it is. And Adam says that he was fishing with our usual crew with Captain Nick and Rod on lock and load. And those guys are definitely locked in. So out of Shark River yesterday when he caught his personal best fluke, 11 pounds on the die, yes. And he even said that after weighing her and taking a few pictures, I sent her back to make more baby fluke. So thank you, Adam, for showcasing catching and releasing big fish. You know, that's important for every single species. And, you know, little side note, sometimes big fish don't taste as good as the little keepers, so food for thought. But congratulations, Adam. That is an awesome fish of a lifetime, and thank you so much for releasing it, because big fish equal more babies for us to catch in the future. Next up, we have Bill Nelson, all smiles with his nice fluke, and he said that he caught this biggest flounder this season was a 22-incher. Dinner for 3, caught on his boat off of Cape May, on the Cape May side of the Cape May Inlet, just as the rocks start from the harbor. And he said that his wife thought he had another snag. And he goes, what a tasty snag that was, and shares a picture of his nice fluke dinner. It's making me hungry. I could go for a fluke sandwich right about now, all this talking about fluke. And then this was a really interesting submission. I was very intrigued, and I'm gonna definitely try this next year. Submissions from Darren Tremmel. So here he is holding a fluke, you know, traditional like shield style. You know, you hold the fluke out front of you like you're holding a shield. And he says that here are some of his 2025 fluke photos. He says he's been experimenting, and you're gonna see it here right now, with the sideways shot for all the naysayers who claim the fish looks bigger, and then you're holding it out in front of the camera. LOL, he says. So you can definitely see holding the fish sideways, like you can see the length, and there's, you know, there's no way a naysayer could be like, oh, you're holding the fish out too far. When you can see its side profile and see the length it truly is, that's, you know, that's interesting. It's a good little experiment. So, you know, if you guys are getting bothered by people in your comments with questioning how big the fluke is, maybe try this next season to kind of silence the haters, you know. Moving on, we have Ferris Cody with 2 flukes. Ferris is from Quincy, Massachusetts, but he took a trip with his family down to Wildwood, and his mother sent this in. He's 12 years old, and he was super psyched to get his first catch of the summer. So congratulations to Ferris. He had a 23 and a 21 incher. So that is absolutely awesome, and that's one way to share an awesome summer trip, you know, back to school. Now that you're back to Massachusetts, saying, hey, I caught 2 nice doormats down in Wildwood. What did you do this summer? So moving on, we have a submission from, his name is Patrick. He's submitting pictures of his father, Hans, who caught a 24-inch fluke on the mid-island of LBI on one summer Friday in August. And listen, for a Friday in the summer, that beach looks not super duper packed, which is, you know, nice to see, nice relaxing, you know, almost local summertime, you know. But he's got, I love Hans' shirt in this picture. It's just your classic fishing shirt, you know, like a good meme of let's move to another spot, and the fish are just right underneath you, just looking at you like, what are you doing? But it's a really, really nice fluke too, nice taped out, and nice color on them too. I love seeing the nice light color flukes when they're caught. So next up, we have Jim Bloomkey with a jumbo in a tote. Just look at this picture real quick and just like look at the mouth on it. It's open, like look at the sides of it, and even the tail too. You just tell from this picture this is a big fluke. And Jim says that he weighed in this fluke, it came to 11.735 pounds, caught part of a limit on a 3/8 ounce bucktail, and then he weighed it in at a shop at Moriches Bay. So that's a really nice fluke too. Big fluke on a light tackle setup. So congratulations, Jim, on that one. Next up, we have Robert the Mailman Mitchell with his fluke submissions. He's got 2 here, and he says he has a 30-incher and a 25-inch fluke, and in his email he goes, sweet. So that is really awesome. Congratulations, Robert the Mailman Mitchell. Keep on catching big fish every season as it comes through. And then last but not least, we have Tyler Lombardo with a 26 and a 23-inch fluke caught this past summer, and that puts a ribbon on the 2025 Super Flukers Challenge. You guys did it. Congratulations to everyone who caught. Keep on bringing that positive fish catching energy into the fall and into the winter, because you know there's species to catch in the winter too, blackfish. So you can tell what I'm looking forward to coming up. But congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much for even participating. I look forward to every episode dropping, and then just my inbox blowing up with people sending me emails of their fish. I look forward to it. It's very exciting for me to see. And we're gonna continue on with this in the summer, and we're gonna continue on with it starting next week, we're probably going to start another fall run striper challenge. So stay tuned. I will catch you guys on next week's open boat. And once again, thank you all for sharing. And just, I really appreciate it. So I'll catch you guys on next week's open boat.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing, and I've seen a lot of freshwater pictures these last couple days, so that's been cool to see. You know, lots of albies coming in, lots of striped bass. And as we get into the height of tog season, as I promised last week, we're going to be doing a giveaway that runs from now, or basically retroactively, to October 1st all the way to November 15th. And this prize was donated by TJ Kopecky. It just wanted to do a nice thing. He's got these D-hookers that he makes. He's got some tog rigs. He's got some lead weights that you guys will use for your tog fishing. I'm going to add some tog treats from Tsunami. So these are tog jigs that are just going to sweeten the pot a little bit. And basically all it is, you got to send in your tog photos over the next 6 weeks. And I'll pick a winner for that as well. The best tog photo wins. So take those shots and get them in, and we'll see who wins. The other contest is going to wrap up on December 2nd, or was it December 3rd, actually, I believe. So you got a little bit longer time in that one. But 2 prizes, 2 giveaways. So get out there, get some fishing in, and we'll see who wins. As we get over into the reports now, I feel like I should preface all this by just sort of highlighting the fact that a lot of this is going to be subject to change. We have some wild stuff going on right now with the weather. We got 40-mile-an-hour gale force winds that came in last night. Those are going to last maybe not quite as strong through Thursday. We've got hurricane swell coming in, which is sort of highlighted here behind me. This isn't the biggest that we're seeing, but it's been crazy. I was out this morning and there were more surfers than seagulls out there. It was nuts. But anyway, that's going to change things a little bit. You're going to see water temps dropping. You're going to see a lot of dirty water, which is going to sort of usher some of these concentrations of fish along. So basically what I'm saying is, you know, follow these reports, but, you know, use your head a little bit. When you go out to fish this weekend, they might not be exactly where the bite was before. You got to think about, you know, migrational movements. You got to think about where they might find cleaner water, warmer water, more bait. And so use these reports to inform your decisions going into the weekend. Now let's start things off up in Maine, where the striped bass bite continues, and it's really the only thing I'm hearing about up in Maine right now is guys striped bass fishing. A lot of fish in the rivers, a lot of fish along the beaches. Not much has changed that way. We are seeing a little bit more urgency on the way these fish are moving around. And you know, I think it seems like we're kind of over the peak. So we're still way up on the scale, but we're on the, you know, downhill side of things up in Maine. So just like the fish are feeding with a little bit more urgency, the fishermen should probably fish with a little more urgency as well. Dropping down over the border into Massachusetts, Plum Island had a good week this week. A lot of nice fish taken off the sand beaches out there. Live eels were the far and away best way to get a big one. But there were a lot of solid fish taken. Seems like the Merrimack is lagging a little bit behind, but those fish should probably backfill into that area sometime soon. The hottest fishing along that whole stretch, though, was in the Marshfield area. There were some blitzes of really big fish over the weekend. And those fish were, you know, seemed to be kind of gearing up to make a move. And we're seeing some evidence of some bigger fish migrating all along that shoreline, some of those fish even heading into the canal. The Cape Cod Canal had a good week, and you'll hear more about that from Eddie. But there were some really nice fish in the canal. There was a mixture of sizes, a lot of slot-sized fish, mostly a jig bite. A lot of the action was at the ends. We had some east end action earlier, or maybe toward the end of last week. There was some bonito. There was even a few albies out in the east end. There was a bunch of striped bass moving in. And then toward the beginning of this week and through the weekend, we had some fish in the west end that were just kind of poking in and out. And again, same class of fish, you know, 30 inches to about 35 pounds. almost 100% a jig bite, although a little bit of topwater activity here and there, and a few bonitos showing up intermittently there as well. These fish are on sand eels, they're on peanut bunker, they're on mackerel, and there's been some larger bay anchovies in the area as well. So a lot of bait, a lot of fish in the canal. Out on the Cape, Bayside Beaches probably had a night of good fishing this week. I didn't hear anything from the guys I know that fish out there, but with all this northeast wind, typically that's going to light things up and also push some fish into places with cleaner water, like the canal, which we already talked about. Or if you're a boat guy, you might want to start around Barnstable Harbor this weekend, because you're going to see a lot more cleaner water there. There's been fish in the area of Barnstable Harbor, and you know, with all this wave action and everything starting to subside, the dirty water will clean out a little quicker there, and it might be an easier place to find fish more quickly. Been a little bit more activity on the outer beaches this week with striped bass. I didn't hear about too many guys going out like vertical jigging and stuff off Truro, so we're gonna have to wait till next week, see if we get any more reports on that. But you know, turning the corner into Nantucket Sound, we're finally seeing the Albie bite sort of come into its own. It's been a long time coming. I mean, here we are, it's October 2nd, but hearing a lot more consistent reports, people seeing a lot more fish. Seems to be a little bit more of a widespread bite. The only thing is these fish have been extremely finicky, and everyone I've talked to has said that basically what you got to do is you got to wait them out. So a friend of mine was out just the other day. He was fishing in the area of Wacoit on the kayak. Started late early morning, found fish right away. They were very hard to get to eat. Fished all the way till noontime. Hadn't caught a fish, only saw a couple fish caught, and then all of a sudden, right around noontime, they just changed their mind and started feeding like crazy. So. That's kind of been the deal. You got to stay with it, you got to grind it out, because eventually you're going to find that window when those fish are starting to chew. Still seeing some big fish south of Nantucket. We'll see how well they weather the storm. There's big albies and big bluefish there. The Vineyard has been seeing better and better action. A lot more bonito there. We're starting to see more albies showing up along those beaches as well. So that's been good. Some striped bass along the east and northern shorelines of the island as well, from what I've been hearing. A couple decent fish too, a couple fish up into the low 30-pound class. Didn't get any reports from the Elizabeths this week. Pushing through into Buzzards Bay, as I talked about with the fish in the west end of the canal, some of those stripers are now moving out into the bay, which is creating a little bit more of an exciting scenario for the boat fishermen fishing in the extreme eastern Buzzards Bay. Heading further west from there, there's been tog on some of the ledges, some really nice fish being caught in that area. There are transient schools of stripers kind of here and there and everywhere. Same thing with albies and bonito. If you run around looking for birds, you're going to run into some fish. And then as you get further west, that's where the fishing seems to be a little bit better. There's more albies, more bonito, and really, really good tog action out in the western part of Buzzards Bay. And now let's check in with our Massachusetts field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. Boston's still doing pretty good. The fish bucket crew headed out on Saturday, and we took a long trip out to Platts to do some ground fishing. We did find some good sized pollock, some big cusk, but we kind of had to move around a little bit. There was some big blue sharks picking away at the fish ladder. So, if you're up for making the trip, if weather cooperates, get out there. I hear Jeffries is decent. We were trying to target those larger pollock, and you really got to pick your weather windows to get out there. That's a long haul, so Saturday was the perfect day for it. I mean, you couldn't have asked for better weather. Yeah, it's pretty much what I got. On Sunday, we did take a couple of charters out. We had to run out to the BG buoy a little past it to find the mackerel and bring those back into the harbor. That's your best bet. There's small pogie schools in the area, but not, large enough you can really cast net them. You might be able to snag a couple of them, but they're real small schools, and they're moving fast. So if the weather's decent, your best bet is to head out first thing in the morning, get your live max, bring them back in. Like I said, Deer Island, in front of Deer Island's holding some fish. Some of the outer islands have fish as well. Just do a little searching around. You got live bait, you're going to catch some fish. That's what I got for you. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Good morning, Dave. Another beautiful day here on the Cape Cod Canal. Got a westbound dropping tide behind me, and still a lot of bait in the canal. There's silver sides everywhere. As Jethro Tull would say, they're thick as a brick. And I tried to match the hatch the other day with a Hopkins no equal. There was 3 ounces, which might have been a little big for that hatch, but nonetheless, I caught a bluefish. It was about 25 inches. And, you know, even though I've been catching bluefish since I was a little kid, it never ceases to amaze me, the fight they put up. This 25-inch fish felt like an 18-pound striper. And a lot of guys did well last week. The West End lit up with fish 40 inches, a lot of 40-inch fish. And I heard, I can't confirm, but I heard there was at least one that was up to 50 inches. And other, guys did well in other places as well. Rob Fish Sticks Pisa from Norton, who's a great guy. They call him Fish Sticks because he's not only a great angler, but he's also a drummer and a nice guy, a great author. And he caught 5 striped bass last week, 38 to 42 inches, with a striper gear Shaddy Daddy that was black and white stripes. And he had his success on a rising east tide. And Bo McKinnon did well as usual, 3 striped bass, 2 bluefish, and a few bones. Bo was throwing a variety of different lures. And trucking Carlos Duat, a great guy from Dartmouth, caught a nice fish, 39 inches. He was throwing a small green deadly dick. And I don't normally burn spots or give away places, but the photo that he sent me that I'm sending into newspapers and magazines clearly shows where he was fishing at the State Pier. And so I'm going to tell you just an interesting story about how they catch fish in the State Pier in the last couple of years. Chuck, the Coca-Cola kid, Franks, had told me about this system they use. I think the system's only a couple of years old, but they use a big net. And of course, anybody that's not familiar with the State Pier, it sticks out into the canal. And they when they catch a fish, they use a big net. And it has a aluminum frame opening up the opening part of it, and it's on the end of a rope. And so when somebody catches a fish, they drop the net down tide of the fish. Then the fisherman releases a little line, and the current takes the fish right into the opening of the net, and then they pull it up. Kind of cool. And so that's the way they handled the fish yesterday for Trucking Carlos, who's a great guy. And so I was happy for him. And so my tip of the week is sometimes when you buy particularly surface plugs that have treble hooks, they have this protective plastic, kind of rubbery plastic coating, like a tube on top of each point of each hook. And if you just pull it straight off, sometimes the bob will stick into the cover, and it becomes difficult. So the best way to take those off is as you're pulling it off, turn it. Just turn it with your fingers and it'll come off. So until next time, catch a big one.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
Crossing over into Rhode Island, the Albie bite in Rhody has been kind of weird, especially on the eastern third of the state. If you drew a line straight down through Aquidneck Island, anywhere east of that has been kind of not that great. There are fish, there's some fish around, but just not in the numbers that we're seeing other places. When you get to the west of that line, we start to see more action, but a lot of what I've been hearing is just a lot of finicky fish, just like we're talking about in Nantucket Sound. These fish have been very picky, especially when they're on the bay anchovies. So if you're out there and you see them on those sort of like reddish clouds of bait, the bite has been really difficult. The key has been finding a pot of fish that's feeding on different bait fish. And the best one seems to be peanut bunker. When the guys find the fish on peanuts, they're chewing like crazy. They're a lot easier to catch, so don't be afraid to leave fish to find fish. I know that some people consider that to be like a cardinal sin of run and gun fishing, but it really isn't. And some of the best albie fishing that we've been hearing about has been south of Block Island and in the North Rip area. When you're fishing in the North Rip area, you're going to be contending with some seals and possibly some sharks. We've heard of some guys getting their fish torn up by both of these types of predators, so you have to be on your toes out there. But that's where the bite has been the most consistent for the quote-unquote funny fish. And then, you know, all along the South County beaches, Quaney seems to be a hot zone. A lot of bait coming out of Quaney, a lot of albies in the area intermittently. They're not always there, but guys are getting them. Now, the other thing that we've been hearing about, which has been really exciting this week, is just another sort of class of weakfish. These fish seem to be moving up into Narragansett Bay right now. These fish are being found in about 20 to 30 feet of water. A lot of guys are getting them vertical jigging with like epoxy jigs, but they're also finding them on small paddle tails, maybe something like a little 4-inch pink Ronzi or something like that. But these fish have been on the bigger side. Some of them up into like the upper 20-inch class, 27, 28 inches. I know Woozy got into some this week, and a few other people that I talked to had gotten into them as well. So that's been exciting. That's been something really cool to see. Just this fall run of weakfish, it just keeps going. Togging has been really good. Whether you're fishing, I mean, really anywhere in Rhode Island, but the hot zone has definitely been from like Statuus Point all the way out to Point Judith area, all that Narragansett shoreline, all of Beaver Tail, and up inside the bay as well. There's a lot of nice fish that come from up inside the bay, but the bite really seems to be coming together now. Fishing really anywhere from like 8 to 35 feet of water, and a lot of guys getting them on light tackle with jigs right now, so everything's looking great when it comes to tog fishing. On the striped bass end of things, it's funny. More guys have been doing well from the surf than from the boats these past couple of days, or even over the last week. It does seem like a lot of the fish that were like off of Newport and off of Jamestown have started to move somewhere else. Maybe they moved up into the bay, maybe they just moved on. But surf guys have been doing a little bit better than the boat guys. They're fishing at night. And I think one thing that gives the surf guys an advantage in the fall is that they can stand in a place that concentrates fish. So whether they're standing at the mouth of a breachway, whether they're standing at a tide swept point or a reef that's getting pounded by waves, they're in an area where striped bass are likely to come in and investigate. So boat guys, if you're out there, having a hard time finding some stripers, maybe take a page out of the surfcaster's book and try to stay on a good piece of structure. And then heading further west from there out to the western part of the state, there have been striped bass around the breachways. There have been striped bass out around Watch Hill and Napatree. Still not quite the concentrations that we might expect as we transition into October, but we're just not seeing the number of mullet yet that we typically see at this time of the year. It might have something to do with these warmer water temps, and hopefully, it'll be a welcome side effect of all this wave action. Water temps will drop a little bit, push some of those mullet out, and get things fired up for the first week of October. Now let's check in with our Rhode Island field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, nice to be back. A lot of stuff going on in the East Bay this week. Not to mention all the bait that we've been talking about for weeks now. And hey, a couple more bass are moving in. Some bass moved up into the Taunton River. But we're going to start over in the Warren Barrington River as we always do. Hey, I got to tell you, there's more and more keepers being caught in both the Warren and Barrington Rivers at the bridges, along Matheson Street in Barrington. All great spots. Dusk and dawn, topwater bite's been good. Swim baits are working really well. Bucktails inside the bridges and all along the structure there. There's all good ambush points for a bass. And some small bluefish still. Those bluefish are not small anymore. They're getting a little bit bigger. Haven't heard any reports of bluefish blitzing on Barrington Beach yet. I'm sure that's going to come this year. I have a good feeling with all the bluefish that have been around in the East Bay. Moving out into the bay off Cote State Park. The guys on the piers in Cote State Park are still doing well with some scup and some tautog. The tautog have started moving inside of the bay. Check Ohio Ledge, all along those rocky shores along Cote State Park have been really well. Moving up towards Hog Island into Bristol Harbor. There's tons of bait there. There's been some bigger bass inside of Bristol Harbor. I was in there on Saturday, and there was a lot of big bass exploding. I saw guys catching them. There's bass 25 to 30 inches in there also chasing bait. Look for that. Mount Hope Bay has been really good. A lot of bait. Check around Spar Island, the mouth of the Kickamuet, Coles River. Lots of bait. I'm seeing 7 to 8 inch pogies swimming around my boat at my marina in Coles River. Good sign that there's going to be some big bass in there pretty soon. Also got some reports of bass up inside of the Taunton River near Somerset Marina from my friend Jaron. He checked in with me and let me know there are some bass up there. So, hey, lots of stuff going on. Rhode Island Tog Classic coming up in another week or two. I'm headed to Florida on the 3rd next week, do a little mullet run fishing, and I will be checking in with you guys from there next week. So, hey, tight lines from the East Bay, and catch them up. There's a lot of stuff going on, guys.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Checking in with you guys this week. Well, you know the saying is, big swallows ring dinner bells, and that is the case right now for striped bass fishing from the surf. It is very, very good. You know, the seas have kept me off the boat, so I just hit them from the bank. And, you know, I've been jumping in the wetsuit, and we've been on a little bit of a sea heron bite, and they got those fish trapped up close, and it's been a North Bar darter bite, a bottle darter bite, and the NOBN 8-inch shads and 5-inch shads have been getting the work done, and your tried and true GT eels, your gravity tackle eels, and your live eels have been doing very well too as well, across the board. But I mean, we're encountering fish up to 30-35 pounds. It's been a very, very productive week as far as that goes, and the remnants of the storm that we have right now is just pushing better water into us for the shore, and they're just trapping more bait fish in and just firing those fish up. So it's been very good. So if you guys are, you know, thinking about getting out in the surf or have been getting out in the surf, it's been very good. You just got to be in the right situations. You gotta put the time in, put the miles in, put the work in, and you'll find them. You'll definitely find them. So it's been very good as far as that goes. For nighttime, I've been going a lot at night. So and other than the surf, Dave, I've been bouncing between surf and freshwater fishing. I've been trying to get on top of these largemouth before they start their full fall transition. And I've been finding fish in the bladed jig and the spinnerbait, 1/2 ounce and 3/8. You know, your Z-Man chatterbait has been working very well. Black and blue and chartreuse, 3/8 and 1 ounce. 3/8 and 1/2 ounce. And, you know, I like to add a trailer to them. You know, I like to add bulk to my presentation and get those fish to eat, really gets them to commit and chomp on that bait. So, they're kind of in summer mode, kind of not in summer mode. I don't know. It's just one of those things where more of these north winds start blowing, it cools down the water temperature, and then they'll put the feed bag on. So it's only a matter of time. But I have been finding fish on deep ledges. I've been chucking the spinnerbait down there, letting it sink, trying to provoke those fish to eat and pick them off the ledges. Same with the chatterbait. You know, if you have riprap, you want to fish the sides of the riprap too, because there's a lot of bait fish up shallow. Those fish will follow it and follow the bait up shallow and start to feed. It just all really depends on where you are in the region as well, because not all the fish go at once. It's not like, okay, let's go. Let's all just go at the same time. That's just not how it works. But I suspect in the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's really going to pick up big time. The top order bite for largemouth has been very good. It's been so good, in fact, I've been throwing the 9-inch dock at them, and they've been crushing it. So it's been very good. So can't complain as far as that. But as for the boat side of things, hopefully once this offshore system moves away, I can jump back on the boat and do some tautog and do some more Albie fishing and get in on that. I was supposed to go tuna fishing tomorrow with my buddy Rob Taylor, but obviously the seas are keeping us from doing that, so that's a bummer. Hopefully I get one more giant at the end of the year. That'd be nice. But hey, I'll check in with you guys this week. I'm going fishing later.
Hey, it's John Lee, Point Judith, Rhode Island. I'm down on my boat. We got some weather right now, blowing northeast, 20 to 30, and there's a pretty good groundswell on, so I'm going to be tied up for a few days here. Did get out before this weather, some good bottom trips with big black sea bass, still culling through a lot of small fish to get those bigger fish. Fishing the rocks out in 65 feet south of Block. Did well on the green bonitas and the false albacore and bluefish. That was maybe 3 or 4 days ago. The fish weren't really showing, so we were trolling deep divers, but doing well on those. Did not make it out black fishing So I got those trips coming Saturday, Sunday, and I'll let you know about that. Anyway, take care. Have a good one.
Hey Dave, Todd Trions with Hooked Fishing here with a weekly fishing report. So I've had a lot of travel over the past couple of weeks, so haven't been out as much as I'd like to, but can share a couple reports from what I saw over the last weekend, beginning of this week. So I got out on a boat chasing albies mostly, and kind of split the time between Newport and Narragansett area. And what I'll tell you is there is definitely a lot of bait around. On my way over to Narragansett, along the rocks on the way out there, finding good bass rafts early in the morning, a lot of bass tight to shore on bait. Those bass are a little bit finicky because they're really keyed in on small stuff, but if you downsize your plastic and throw it in there, it's almost an automatic hookup. Some good fish underneath those when you find those. Shooting across onto the other side of the west side of the bay, you start to look for the birds, and when you see the birds, you're going to find a nice mix of bonito and albies. A lot of boats on the weekend. I was out there on Saturday, and found a lot of boats kind of setting up, looking at bait early. The fish didn't really show up until the tide was kind of more of a mid-tide, mid-morning, and then you get albies, and they pop up, and you get a couple good shots on them. And if you hook up, you hook up. If not, you got to move on to the next school because they're kind of popping up all over the place. It's not like it was 3 weeks ago when they first showed up and everything was feeding all the time. I'd say I'd have double-digit trips, and now I'm, getting 3-4 a trip is, kind of the barometer at this point. Definitely a little bit more of a finickier bite. Went back out on Monday. Thought that Monday would be better than Saturday because there was less boat traffic, and it was in terms of finding them and finding less boats when you found the fish, but the fish were definitely getting into that finickier mode where downsize your leader, downsize your epoxy for a better shot at them. But good news was, definitely still finding albies, still finding bonito, separate schools, finding separate schools of bones, separate schools of albies. And, I know that the tog bite is strong out there. I got my green crab traps out, getting my bait collected for this weekend, and we'll definitely be ready to give that a go as well. So that's what I know. The hardtails are definitely still here. Today was a windy day. We'll see if that changes things a little bit, but definitely been from my perspective, one of the best hardtail years I've seen in a year for both albies and bonitos. That's all I have for this week. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and stay hooked out there.
Introducing the Yak Attack Sandrig Surf Cart, the ultimate beach hauler for serious anglers. Glide effortlessly over soft sand with wide balloon wheels and lightweight, corrosion-resistant construction that's completely customizable with options. Whether it's rods, coolers, or tackle, haul it all with ease. Built by surf fishermen and engineered by Yak Attack.
Moving over into Connecticut now, similar thing to last week. The best albie fishing seems to be in eastern Long Island Sound or across on the north shore of Long Island. A lot of those fish are in either, like I say, in that little triangle from like Wickapesset to the Thames River out to like the Connecticut River, and then it's kind of heading out from there. The other place that's been really hot is the area between like Mount Sinai, New York, Port Jeff area, and out to Middle Ground. So it does kind of seem like those schools are going to eventually converge in the Central Sound. It just hasn't quite happened yet. So I'll have to see if this wave action and this weather inspires them to kind of come together out there somewhere. Striped bass fishing in the Eastern Sound has slowed down a little bit. Guys are still getting some decent fish. Seems like the best fishing is out in the race right now. There's been some nice bluefish out in the race as well. A lot of diamond jigging, a lot of three-weighing bucktails. Action's been pretty solid. That's probably the best place to go in Connecticut if you just want to kind of get some fast action with stripers and bluefish. Connecticut River area has striped bass, has some albies, definitely has some sea bass, and of course we're still holding our breath on Tog, which opens up in 8 days, so that's coming up really quickly, but it's still closed. So but that's been good. The western half of the Central Sound still holding a lot of stripers, still seem to be a little bit more scattered than they were, but pretty much all sizes are in play there. We've heard of fish from schoolies up to 40 pounds, some nice sized schools of mid-sized bluefish in the area as well. One of the better areas to find some porgies and some sea bass, so really good fishing just taking place in that central western Sound area, off all those reefs and islands out in that area. It's just been producing for really from the midsummer all the way down the line here. Getting further west from there, it's another place where we're seeing some really nice weak fish being caught in the Sound. Similar to Rhode Island, we're seeing fish up into the mid to upper 20-inch class, and this bite has been hanging on, and I mean even getting better and better as we go. And then heading further west from there, we'll let Max Finch fill us in over at Fisherman's World. So let's check in with our field correspondents now.
Hey everyone, so major cool down this week will definitely affect the water temperatures on the Connecticut River. The weekend looks like it'll be on the warmer side, but nighttime temperatures into the 40s will definitely push fish into those more typical fall behaviors. That means a lot of shad feeding while they're still here. Those schools of shad should be pushing downriver, and about this time of year they're like the size of peanut bunker, and the smallmouth and largemouth both will feed on those fairly heavily, especially late in the evening. Now there's so much bait around this time of year that fish can kind of be satiated a little bit some days. So if the conditions aren't really good, it may actually be on the tricky side to convince some fish to eat, just because there is so much bait around that they are feeding very, very well. And I am seeing that some days. But conditions coming into the weekend look quite good for some feeding to happen. Topwater bites should be decent, especially later in the day. And hopefully, with the cooler temperatures, the pike show a bit. Now, I mentioned weeds dying in the last video report. That's probably going to be the case as well this time, especially with these really cool nighttime temperatures. So expect some dead floating vegetation to make things a little tricky in some areas of the river. Sometimes though, you can find spots where the dying grass mats up very heavily against log jams, and if you can slide a bait like an unweighted fluke or a streamer pattern on a fly rod underneath those mats of vegetation, oftentimes fish are using them for cover. So look for that, but do expect a lot of floating vegetation in the coming days.
Hey everybody, for this week's Fish Report, fall fishing is really great. We have an opening next Wednesday, October 8th and October 20th. Those are two prime dates. Jump on those. We had a grand slam last week. That's a false albacore, bonita, striped bass, and bluefish in the same trip. Also caught a 21-pound bluefish in another trip. That's the biggest bluefish I've ever landed in my boat. It was pretty cool. When that thing hit, it almost spooled us. We caught it on a light setup. It's a Shimano Stradic 4000 with 15-pound Power Pro, super slick. So that was a really nice fish, really giant bluefish. There's a few big blues around too. Striped bass fishing is good. Everything from schoolie size all the way up to 50-inch size we've had in the past week. So very good fishing for pretty much everything right now. Even the bottom fishing was pretty good. We had some good black sea bass fishing a couple days. So very exciting time of year. The next month should be really good. So hope to get out and fish with you.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Blackwell Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. We are into October now. It's one of my favorite months of the year. I love September. I've talked about that. October is also awesome. 10 days as of this video until our local blackfish season opens in Connecticut, which means that for 10 more days, we're looking for fall-like conditions to develop. It definitely feels like fall out there today, big north wind, and some cool nights ahead of us too into the 40s. So I think that that's going to get these fish chewing. Our water temperatures locally in the Sound are like 69, 70, which is wild for this time of year. As long as it took for the water to heat up in the spring, it is now staying warm into October. So I do think that when the fish start to feel some of those cooler nights and feel those initial temp drops, that we are going to get to the point where they are chewing. We've had some bird activity sporadically, like blitz style activity, but not consistently. I think October is really when that is going to happen. Albies locally, we've heard bits and pieces. There really hasn't been a ton. They kind of showed up really well for a week and change, and then kind of spread around, which is wild because we are surrounded. All the local areas across the sound to our east, it's been pretty solid. So I'm hoping, and I know a lot of other people are hoping, that we get another push of Albies into the Long Island Sound as these temps drop and we get into October, because there's certainly plenty of them out there. There have been good bonito locally. We had some good bonito right out locally in Westbrook, that kind of general area over the last few days. Some good size ones too, good eats. Looking for feeds on the surface for those guys. Really big bluefish around. There's been some nice bluefish kicking around. A lot of guys getting weakfish all over, kind of just randomly, bits and pieces. I don't have any specifics on those other than guys seem to be just jigging for them, and they're finding piles of them. So if you do see stuff on your fish finder, a little bit deeper, it's certainly worth dropping out there. Same thing with the sea bass and the fluke. I haven't heard a lot of, new fresh reports on those guys, but as with most fish, when the temps start to drop, there's a little bit of a chew before those guys kind of head out and shut down for the colder weather months. So stripers, same deal. I went out locally, didn't really find a ton, but we're hoping that those guys pick up when the temps drop too. Good luck.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with your local fishing report. This past week, the hardtails were dominant in the reports. We've seen some Spanish mackerel and a lot of bonito around. The bonito are far outnumbering the Albies. Hotspots are the Port Jeff beaches, Crane's Neck, Flax Pond, up in tight. You can find the bonito in the middle around Middle Ground. East of there are more Albie reports east of there off Mount Sinai and in the Mid-Sound around the cable crossings. There's been some spottings of Albies locally behind Kokeeny and Eaton's Neck up in tight. We're not talking like out on the reef, but like Eaton's Neck area, usually where people are fluke fishing near Can 13. This should just get better moving into October. I know out east, Fishers, Niantic, Mystic, it's all blown up. So hopefully we get some good, push of Albies down this way, but there are plenty of bonito around to keep you busy. Another thing this past week is a lot of weak fish. It's not just one spot, we're hearing multiple spots. In our harbor, Rhode Island humps, and then places in our deep water reefs like 28C. Guys are getting them by bycatching, and there are anglers out there targeting them from shore around our harbor, throwing little pink bucktails and small mag darters. 11B's got a lot of like 5 to 8 pound bluefish, same thing with Middle Ground, so if you get a good diamond jig and bite in the outgoing, I would definitely check that out. There are bass in the mix. Your best bet for bass are early mornings, plug in blind casting around the island, up and tight this time of year around all the peanut bunker schools, small spooks, small top water plugs work best. Porgies are still dominating our beaches, shallow water and deep water reefs. We're starting to see some knotheads getting mixed in here and there. Not a lot, but they are starting to mix in, so our water temps are coming down with these cooler nights. Thanks and good luck.
That's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. I want you guys to make sure you're safe as we fish, tonight and into Friday. Still got a lot of big surf. Still got some wild weather coming through, so you want to, take a minute to observe before you get yourself into a dangerous situation. But outside of that, things are going to calm down pretty quickly going into the second half of the weekend. So you should have plenty of opportunity to get out there and catch some fish. And last thing I want to say before I go through my little spiel about the website and being a subscriber and all that is go Red Sox. So if you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. Cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine, every angling discipline, whether you're a surf guy or an offshore guy or a freshwater guy or anything in between. It's the best $32 you can spend in fishing. It's $31.95 for a year. You're going to get 12 paper issues sent to your house, 26 digital editions sent to your email, digital access to all of our back issues plus our other 2 editions. I don't know how you could go wrong. That's 3 magazines for $32. But if you're still not interested after you check the website, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right about there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.